All right, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am super excited to have Claudia Paisley today present this class about IMAP. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. Claudia will be checking the chat from time to time or unmute and ask her if you have any questions as we go along. And so again, Claudia, thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to you. And thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining us today. And like Carrie said, today we're going to be looking at IMAP. And if there's any questions you have as we're going through the presentation, we'll try to get through them. I'll try to reserve a lot of it till the end, but if something comes up and you absolutely are going to get lost, then go ahead and ask and we'll try to address them as we go along as well. So today we're talking about IMAP, and the things we're going to be covering is what is IMAP, how we can launch IMAP, how we can use IMAP for searching information. It has a wealth of information there, but a lot of the times we need to be able to narrow our searches a little bit. So we're going to focus on a few areas as terms of how we can use it for searching. Once we've gotten our results, we want to be able to either download them or we want to go ahead and print mailing labels right from within IMAP. So we'll be looking at those features specifically today. The other thing that we're going to be doing when it comes to searching, we're going to focus in on using it for farming. That's something we all need to be doing. And some of us are doing it to different extents. This will allow us to be able to do it even more consistently. And within our farming area, sometimes we also may want to just target specific groups of people. So we're going to be looking at absentee owners, how we can be targeting for getting listings perhaps for people who have homes but are not living in them anymore. And also at the same time, people who are living in those homes, we know they are renters today, but we know they will become tomorrow's buyers. So how can we start developing relationships with them? So first finding them in IMAP and then being able to be sending them material on a consistent basis. And if we have time, what we'd like to also do is to see how we can use IMAP. There's a special feature that's only available in this application and not in the MLS that will help us to find expired listings that have not relisted. So this hopefully we'll get a chance to get there within the time allotted as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to jump directly into the application. How do we get to IMAP? It's actually one of the free applications that are available for us if we are a Miami board member. So if we've logged into the gateway, we can scroll down on that first page that comes up. And here it is. I love that word free. So anything free that's really giving us a lot of information, that's something we should try to utilize. You just simply click on IMAP, and because you've already logged in to your gateway, it has a single sign-on or the ability to just simply open that application up without you having to sign in again. There are other ways that you can get to the application from within the MLS, for example, but today we're just going to focus on this one thing since we're so focused in on what we're going to be doing. And this is what the homepage looks like in IMAP. IMAP actually stands for interactive mapping. So if you were to look at the map, you could perhaps be able to search, or as you're jumping from one listing to the one home to the next, you can get information on that particular property that you're searching on from the map. But today, because we're trying to gather information, mainly for us to be using for mailing and for farming, we're going to really focus on how we can use the data that's available to us. At the top here, it highlights the three main types of searching that you can do. You can do text data search, looking at information that's included perhaps in the property websites. You can do an MLS search, and you can actually use it for foreclosures as well. We won't be focusing at all on this particular search capability in this session. But when it comes to the data that's available, IMAP captures data from multiple sources. So what it does for us, which limits the work that we have to do, is that it will take information regarding the tax rolls. It will take information regarding the property. Like we said, it actually has MLS data as well. And it has information that comes from some of the court systems. It's all in one place. So we look one place and we get a lot of information that we can put together. If we're searching within IMAPP for data, one of the nice things about it is that there's no limit to the amount of time that we can actually be using IMAPP within a month. A lot of the other applications that are free will limit either the amount of times that you can use that search within a month, or it even limits the amount of results that you can get. With IMAPP, you can, when you do a particular search, it will return up to 5,000 rows of information for you. And as a realtor, we want to be a little bit more laser focused. So 5,000 rows is really a lot of information. So you can pretty much do anything that you really want to do. We're not going to try to download 5,000 rows of data for anything today. What we're going to try to do is use it more, like we said, for farming. And you want to be more focused. You want to have a smaller number of homes that you're working with so that you can be hitting them on a more regular basis, as opposed to a larger number of homes, and then you can't afford to be repeating what you do. In this case, what you want to do is do it consistently, as opposed to be doing it to a large audience. So our searching is going to take us through, we're going to see how we can use the different search criteria that's available to us to limit our results and make it effective. One of the things we want to note, the information that's presented here is going to be for Florida only. It doesn't include the rest of the world, but we're Florida realtors, so that's for the most part what we're going to be using anyway. So that's fine. You can search by county. Most of us will be working in either Broward County, Dade County, or perhaps Palm Beach County. For today, I'm going to stay with Broward County for the data that we're going to be looking at. And then what we want to be focusing for the rest of our time is really the information that's included in the search field or the search type and search value. We talked about different types of searches that we're going to do. And I think maybe we'll just start off with a simple search that will allow us to see the information that we have. Let's say we're going to be doing our farming territory. What normally happens, you either pick a zip code or a group of zip codes that are close together, and then you focus in on that area. So I'm going to suppose that we're going to do it. I'm going to pretend for today that my zip code that I'm going to be working with is 33026 and 33027. What I can do, because I have two zip codes that I'm going to be working with, is if you notice these different search criteria here, it does come up with a default, but at any time at all, I can actually go in and change them. And I can simply go in, since I want to be working with two zip codes and not one, I can change another one of these fields that I know I won't be changing. Sale price, I don't need to be working with that today. I can take that one and I can also make it zip code. Let me go ahead and I'll just put it up here. So property zip code, and we had, so I can go ahead and I have them side, close to each other. It doesn't necessarily have to be. We said 33027 was the second one. Now, a property or a home can only be in one zip code. So really what we need to be doing is saying, I'm looking for property in zip code 33026 or in 3327. So I'm going to change this and to an or. It can only be in one, so it has to be an or and not an and. Okay, so with that, that's the simplest search I'm going to do today. I'm just going ahead and hit the start search button. And let me see what's going on here. New search. That 33026. 33027. Start search. Okay, there. Now notice it said 5,000. I did mention before that 5,000 was a limit on any one search, or perhaps in the zip code, there's actually more than 5,000 records, but it will only return the first 5,000 to you. But you know, if you're doing farming, 5,000 homes is really a whole lot more than you'll ever need to do. One of the things that we want to look at first when we're doing this list would include homes that perhaps are already being worked on, are serviced by another agent. So one of the first things you ever want to do when you get search results is that you want to change the sort. You do want to sort by this MLS status, put it in ascending. And what it does for you when it finally comes up is that it will show you with this green flag anything that's already been, there's an active listing on the MLS. You never want to include these because we don't want to be ever trying to solicit a listing when we know somebody else is already working on it. So we will go ahead and deselect those. Notice as soon as I clicked that button to delete, to deselect that first one, I got this message. It says the status of some properties have been temporarily changed. When I'm done taking all of the ones that have those status that I need to remove, one of the things that I will need to remember to do before I start downloading it would be to commit my changes. When I commit my changes, notice that it grays them out. So when I start my download or printing my labels, those won't show up anymore, okay? But like I said, working with 5,000 might be a little bit too much for you when you're doing your search. So let's go ahead. And if you notice here, we have a couple of other things that we can do with this, right? In the middle, it says refine the search. So I don't have to retype the parameters I've already entered, but I can go ahead and try to narrow the amount of listings that I'm gonna see. A good idea would be for us to look at property that has been sold with 7 to 10 years ago. And the reason for that is that one of the statistics that we've been told, and that's been very reliable, is that people tend to move within 7 years. So if I wanted to kind of narrow down on those people who are most likely to move, somebody who bought a house last year, for example, they're not likely to sell their house unless they had, purchased it for investment property. But somebody who's been in the home for 10 years perhaps has some equity, and that equity, they may be willing, or we could entice them to be able to move. So I'm going to narrow it by also including not only my zip code, but this time my sale date. I'm going to pick up anything that is less than or equal to January of 2010. And then I'm also going to say sale date again. Anything that's greater than or equal to December 31st of 2010. It's a little bit, within that time frame. So now I'm looking at 2 zip codes and I'm saying anything that was sold in 2010. Hit the start search button again. Okay. All right. Says that's too much, too wide. Let me do 2020, just for the sake of it. 2020. So last year, just so that I can show you the results, but you can play with your dates, whatever you wanted to do. No matches. Oh, see, I got myself in trouble. Sale date or not and. So let's go ahead and do that. There, and now we have lots of results. This time, what do we still want to do the same thing? We want to sort, and we want to get rid of anything that's already been serviced. There's several records that are here. Unfortunately, we have to literally take them off one at a time. There's no way for us to do otherwise. So I'm going to, let's see how many we have here. Almost the first 100. One of the things, since it's almost the entire page, I can do select all on this page and then simply deselect. I can unselect all on this page and then simply select the ones that are still good. So it's only 3 on this page, and then everything else would be unselected. So then go back up to the top, commit my changes. And at this point now I can decide if I want to download the results or if I want to go ahead and create mailing labels. So let's go ahead and we will download the results. When you're downloading the results, you have a couple options. You can pick up the full tax record. If you're targeting just doing mailing, really what you would want to be able to do is to look at the owner address or property address. The owner address is probably, if you're targeting absentee owners, will be one of the things that you would want to do. And I'm going to show you how to even refine it so that your list is only your absentee owners. But when you select owner address here, if the owner does not live at the property address that you included in the search, your mailing information, your contact information will include the address that their tax roll information, their tax data is going to. So if the property really is in Florida, but the owner lives in New York, when you pull this information with owner address, then you will get information related to his address in New York. Okay. One of the things that you could notice here, there's a way for you to include phone. Sometimes you'll get good information, sometimes not so good. If you do have phone information included, that phone information will be a landline, not cell. And then you still have to remember that you're not allowed to call if they're on the do not call list. This information is not, the data that you have does not tell you if they're on the do not call list. So you'll have to proceed with caution if you decide to use it. But let's say we're just going to do the owner address. We're going to download the results. You have different full formats. Down here, what you want to select now is, instead of doing a CSV that you have to convert, if you change it to Microsoft Excel 97 or newer, it will bring it into Excel for you. And you start download, and then it does your download. It gives you a notification that says that your download has occurred, and it will tell you also what has been downloaded, the fields. Let's see if you can open it up. Can you see my screen with an Excel?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so on the screen, if you notice, it has owner name. If there are multiple owners on the property, you'll have both. And then you have the address information that you have. You may want to use this if you need to further define, refine the information. You want to keep it so that you can do it multiple times. That's also an option. But another thing that you can do, and I'm going to go back over to our map, is that you could actually have created mailing labels. So another option that's on the other screen would have been create mail labels. Simply come here. Now, we talked about the fact that you have different ways that you can pull the data. Again, it's the same thing when you're doing your mailing labels. There are different options that are available to you. You can address it to the occupant, what happens when you do that is that the data, your mailing label is just simply going to say occupant. But what you can do, or you can actually change it. Let's say you replace, instead of saying occupant, you replace the first line. You can say, I want to send the address to the current resident. I may say I want to send it to the homeowner. I really like this one, future homeowners. So if you were sending it to the property address and you know renters are here, you can simply do this, and it's a way to catch their attention as well. All right. But you can go ahead and you change the address to owner address, like we said before. No need to replace it because we know the owner's name is going to be on the information. You come down here, you change your label to the one that you have. And the easiest thing you could probably do is just print it in PDF. It does it right away. So let's generate the labels. And let's take a look at it. And now you have the names of all of the owners. Notice I had said before that sometimes the owner address may not even be this country. It may not be this state. This person here is actually in Puerto Rico. But this is an example of being able to pull the address of the owner, irrespective of whether they're actually at the property. But let's say you wanted to target just those owners that were at the property instead of the entire list. Let me go back over into IMAPP. Oops, where is my IMAPP window? Let me find my window. It's not the way, so I can see. Here we go. There we are. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go back to the search. We're going to go back to our new search. This time, we're going to do, okay. Let me see if I can just refine the search and hopefully it will take us back to that first page. Perfect. All right, so from here, let me do a new search. Clear the search, the information we had. We were working our farm area, and let's say we know we wanted to work in a particular area. Let's say we wanted to work in Pembroke Falls, that's in Pembroke Pines, Florida. So we can go to our subdivision. Let's say we wanted to work in Pembroke Falls. We can say Pembroke Falls. It starts with, and we can either select it from here and say P, and then we'll have to go through all the entries that have P. Or we can actually change this from select to input. Subdivision input, still do starts with, and now we can actually start typing. And when we do that and we pick up Pembroke Falls, for example, it will give us all the different entities that are out there with Pembroke Falls. Pembroke Falls, for example, is one of those developments, pretty big, and they did it in phases. So each one of the phases are appearing here. You could narrow and say you wanted to only search in one phase, or you can do multiple. But this way you can say, because you said starts with, it's picking up everything that starts with Pembroke Falls. Again, we want to still narrow our results. We're going to stick to our same criteria that we had before. Let's use the same thing. Okay. So we're picking up, now we've narrowed it down instead of looking at an entire zip code. The zip code we're looking at before also, we had 2 zip codes, now we're looking at just a development. So when I start the search, instead of getting 5,000 records that I had gotten before, we should be getting still a significant number, but yeah. So now we're only looking at almost 3,000. We would still want to go ahead, delete whatever is there that doesn't, that has an MLS listing, etc. But I want to use this opportunity now to show you how you could target just the absentee owner in your list. We're going to take one of the fields that we're not using. And if you notice in here, you have different options. So under here, you could look for owner name, owner address, et cetera, but look at this one. It says owner occupied. If we change it to owner occupied equal to no, then right away that list of 2,000 should drop. And now we're only looking at owners who are not living at the property. And they do that because they're looking at where their tax date information is being mailed to. Now we're looking at a manageable list. It's 391. Again, you would want to go ahead, remove your MLS active records. So anything that's active or pending, we would want to remove those. So 391. And not too many of them are active at this moment. Right, so we would remove those. And then when you do your download or you do your mailing list, you're mailing specifically only to owners who are not at the address. But of course, they are making the decision as to whether to list with you or not. So then I can go ahead, I can download, or I can create my mailing label. You could do the same thing. And this time when you're doing your mailing labels, like I said before, when you do owner address, you're sending it there, but you could do property address. I'm sorry, you can do property address. But this time, instead of trying to address the owner, you could do current resident. And when you do this, you're sending it to that property. But now the person living in that house perhaps is a renter. And you could simply be this time instead of trying to get somebody to list with you, these people may be someone that there's an opportunity for you to start a relationship to help them to become homeowners. So that's a simple way that you could have 2 different targets with exactly the same data points. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, good. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to refine the search one more time. And you can change this. Like we said, you can look at here, there's just so many different ways that you can, use this information here to further narrow your search. If you were trying to find a home that only had, let's say, 2 bedrooms, and because you had a specific buyer that you're trying to solicit a home for, then one of the search criteria here would be bedrooms, and you could actually reduce your population again even more. Okay, all right, so we do have more time. So what I want to do is that we said on the MLS search, the MLS data that's coming here is exactly what you have in Matrix. So you would probably be working in Matrix and really not here when you're looking at data for your MLS. However, one of the things that's here that's not easily, that you don't have easy access to was whether or not there is an expired listing available for you. How you can easily do that change one of these criteria that you don't know and look at this field, listing status. Here are the values. If you wanted to see all the active ones, you could. But if you wanted to see the expired and not relisted ones, that would be probably something we could all follow up on. Because now everybody's been going after expired listings. One of the things you could do though, everybody goes after the expired listings that just expired, but maybe you want to go out instead of looking at the expired listings that just occurred, you want to go ahead and you want to narrow your listing a little bit. So you could add in here your expired date. And then you could say you want to see anything that has expired that's greater than this year. So let's do January of this year, the first 3 months of this year. So I come back and I pick up another listing date again, and less than or equal to, change it to or, and less than or equal to, what is it? March 31st, 2021. And let's see if we get any results. It's probably a large number. You probably also want, when you're doing this search, I would recommend you put in your zip code or your city, or maybe even a subdivision if you're working in a particular set of subdivisions as well. Yes, this is a large search, so we'll just see how long it takes.
Must be a big file.
Yeah. We're searching through a lot in order to be able to narrow it down for us. So we'll give it just another minute. There it is. The results are here. In this case, you shouldn't have to do the sort by MLS because it's already included that status. So now here's a lot. It's more than 5,000. Wow, that's a lot. But we would want to, oh, oops, back. I clicked into it, so now it's showing me the actual MLS data. Sorry. But yeah, you could go ahead, and what I would do, again, you never want to work with such a big list. So you could go ahead, refine the search, add in a zip code, add in a city to reduce that number that you're working with. So let's say we were in Pembroke Pines before. Let's do Cooper City. And then we're gonna start the search. Now we're only down to 300. And notice it returned the results a lot faster. So the more narrow your search is the less time you spend waiting as well. And then now you have a list that you can go ahead, you can create your mailing labels, you can download your results, and you're good to go, right? The last thing I wanna do to show everybody is that instead of having to do those searches every single time, you actually have the ability to save your search. So you can come in here, you can name your search. This is exactly what I did. I searched for the expireds that are from January to March in Cooper City. I can save it. It's gonna confirm that it's been searched, that's been saved, and the next time that I want to do it now, I can just simply pick it up and I can go ahead and start with that search the next time. Okay, and that's pretty much how it is. There's also, if I go back to the main page, there's a foreclosure search button. We're really not going to spend a lot of time talking about that today, but I would highly recommend, if you want to be working with foreclosures, that you spend some time just looking at this to see how you can use this information as well for helping you to identify any foreclosures that are on the market. One of the things I'm going to point out with the search data, you know, as you're using it to be able to help you with your search. Let's see, I'll go back in and I'll pick up what we were using before. We were using zip code 33026. And I'm just going to pick up a sale date greater than equal to 1 day this week, you know, this month. So August 1st, 2021, see if I get anything. I'm trying to get a narrow result. Just what I like to do is just spend, since we have a couple minutes extra time, just looking at the particular listing in to see what other information is available to us. So when you click on the data, it takes you, like we said before, it actually takes you to a detailed listing information, and it's picking up information from different sources. Here is property information that's on the property tax files, the property files. It's picking up data from the MLS. It's picking up information that you have related to their schools, their flood zones. So this is like a one-stop shop if you're looking for information. But one of the reasons why they call it the IMAPPing is that this map itself is that even though you're focused on one home that's here, the one that's highlighted in red, let's say as you're looking at it, something else caught your eye. You can actually simply click into that one. And now you have information for another property. You can pull that one up and you can start looking at it. So it's very flexible in terms of how you can use this information. So it's not only just for searching like we want to be able to do, but you can use it for gathering information that you can use. So my recommendation is to just spend some time with the application and get to know it. It can become one of your best friends. And that's pretty much what I had to share with you all. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. If there are any questions, let me know, please. I will be happy to either answer them now, or if I have to look it up, I'll be willing to do that as well.
I actually just have a quick question, and I maybe kind of stupid, but when you do have that mailing, the mailing labels made, do you then like kind of turn those into like stickers so you don't have to hand write all of those, or like what do you do with that list after?
That's a good question. When you have the mailing labels, let me just pull it up again. You can actually just print them on an Avery label. They're formatted to that mailing label that you picked. So I think we had 5161 selected. You could go to the store, buy those and print them out. But if you are working with it, if you're working with a large number, it may be better to do the mailing labels. But really what you will find is that if you take the time and you're working with, say, 50, 60, and you simply take the time to handwrite the information, then you may get a better open rate of your envelopes. So it's really up to you to decide how you want to use the information, but at least you know where you can go and get the information. And, you know, as we went through, you can either put it in an Excel spreadsheet, or you can create those mailing labels. Either one, you can determine how you want to use the data.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. You look at.
Hi, Claudia.
Somebody asked where you can get the recording. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, Real Estate Training, the number 4 Success. So you guys can download it there.
Okay, wonderful.
What is your
Okay.
YouTube channel name?
Real Estate Training, the number 4, and then the word success. Real Estate Training for Success.
Training for Success. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate your taking the time out of your day. And like I said, if you
Thank
have
you,
any
Claudia.
questions,
Amazing
you're
class.
welcome. All right.
Thank you very much, Claudia. Very
Thank
informative.
you.
You're welcome. Carrie.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Claudia, again, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys at the next training.
Thank you.